are talking about today regular expression. The fundamental input for the regular expression is going to be string because regular expression works only on a string. So we'll get started. What is regular expression? Okay. We'll take some interesting example from real time where we see regular expression. So the first thing, whenever you hear the word regular expression in any language, right? The fundamental area in whichever language you go to, JavaScript, Ruby, Python, you have regex. When we talk about regular expression, something should really hit your brain, should be something related to patterns. We talk about patterns. Let's talk about something like a pattern in real-time application. Now, one of the things we see, two-wheeler numbers or four-wheeler numbers are going to be something like a pattern. Do you see a pattern here? So I'm sure you would, right? Basically, this talks about the state in which the vehicle is registered, WB, West Bengal, Maharashtra. Similarly, if you see Rajasthan, right? So unfollowed by the 2-digit, this is talk about the information about which particular RTO office is it, right? And then followed by number, which will be a running number, which can be a single character of alphabet or 2 character of alphabet, followed by a 4-digit number, right? That's what you generally see a pattern. The pattern cannot change, right? But if you go across world, right, and across, let's say we take an example in Tamil Nadu, right? In Tamil Nadu, the template is going to be very straight, and you always see something with our TN at the beginning, right? Let's see if we have some sample right here for us to see in Tamil Nadu. So you should see a lot of Tamil Nadu vehicle numbers somewhere here. So I couldn't find something. Yeah, here. So if you see TN followed by the 41. 41 should be representation. I don't know where it should be, close to Coimbatore or something. TN 37 points to Coimbatore or Tirupur could be it as. For Chennai, it starts from 01 all the way to 22. So we talk about to find out which RTO number it belongs to the Tamil Nadu. Followed by, as I say, it will be a running characters and followed by a 4-digit number, right? This is what represents a pattern. So it is always goes with a pattern. If we don't have a pattern, it is very difficult for us to understand how this particular vehicle number has been defined. So it is very difficult for us to see it, right? So we have to let's take another example. We'll talk about credit card numbers. All your credit card numbers that you have been using or a debit card numbers you have been using, which formulate 16 complete digits, right? 16 digit for every 4 digit have a representation of a model. Actually, we can find a MasterCard or a Visa card or a RuPay card by looking at the pattern here, right? So it is a 16 digit which is broken into 4 each, right? And followed by you have a CVV number which is always again goes around for a 3-digit number. Maybe in the future we'll go with a bigger number too, right? So these are all something we talk about. Or expiry dates. These are all something information which representation of a credit card. If the credit card does not fall under this, sometimes you would have went to online trying to purchase some information or trying to purchase some materials and you put a credit card number. If you try to throw a wrong number, it says it validates. It could be a 16-digit number, but that is something very specifically they validate with the patterns, right? So that's where you have to look out for. Another example, phone numbers, right? All the phone numbers which is representation of your mobile numbers is 10 digits. Initially, if you start, India had options of starting with 9, and then later we also got 8, 7, nowadays even 5 and 4 are expected soon. But however, if you see +91 is the country code, so it goes as a standard. If you want the international codes, it is +91. That is always a pattern which follows the system in which you do it. But if you go to United States, that is also the pattern they follow, right? My number used to be something like this when I was living in the US. So I have 301 and followed by, we put a bracket just to say it is a state code, and 437 followed by 5146. So you get a number something like this, which is broken to say which state, which particular region, and what's the number. So you get to see a pattern always across the way in which the phone numbers are built, right? So another great example, right? So we'll see some other example. For example, in the application real time, if we talk about Selenium, we will be starting the following week, right? When you log in, so you get a message like welcome. Welcome message is standard, but whereas the login user message is different, right? So if I try to log in with somebody else, So let's say I'm logging with somebody else and you got welcome followed by some other message. So which means there is a text always standard followed by a text which is going to change based on the user. So that is a regular expression. There is a pattern, and through pattern I could able to see something changing, right? So I can find by the pattern what is right, what is wrong. So help me to understand. So another beautiful example you can see is email addresses, right? So you talk about email address have a pattern. It should have an @ symbol, and it cannot have it at the beginning, it should not have it at the end. There is a pattern which says there should be an email followed by an @ followed by a domain, and that's how it is, right? So you would see it, right? So you have a name or last name, first name. Some companies put last name or first name dot last name. So you have something like this, right? First name. Sometimes if the first name, last name is same, you can also have numbers followed by the domain dot ends with the extension, right? Something like this, right? So if you take back 15 years back, the numbers are, it has a restricted domains, restricted extensions. Nowadays it's floating, it can change, but there is a pattern. You see something at the beginning, dot, something at the next, and then followed by @ If you see a pattern, something here, a text, right? Sorry. So right here text and followed by something. A domain as a text. Dot. There is a text. So but what retains here, @ should be mandatory, otherwise it's not considered as an email. Dot is another one. So whenever you see a pattern in your real-time applications where you wanted to use it, then you can use the pattern matching, which is the regular expression. Another great example, your password. Sometimes when you write a password in your test cases, you should say the password should be maximum of 32 character, or beginning with, let's say, 6 to 32 character password. This is the size, and it should have at least one capital letter, which is uppercase. At least you should have one special character, right? Something like this, right? Or one digit, and rest can be any formulation, right? So when you want to build something like this, you should use regular expression. But nobody says the upper should be at the beginning or upper should be at the end. It can be anywhere, but there is a pattern. You see an upper special, so there is a pattern. So whenever you build with a pattern and you wanted to use validate, or you wanted to get some information based on the pattern, then you go for regular expression. And when we talk about regular expression is something which is only available for string manipulations. If it is a text-based, I can have it. And you cannot use regular expression outside the string, right? So that's exactly it is, right? So I think that introduction would have helped you to understand when to use regex, correct? So the next point right here is basically when can I use it in real-time projects, right? So let's take an example. Let's start with it. You can do it two ways, right? So we'll talk, one of the scenarios is you can validate using regular expression if the pattern matches. The other way is, for example, let's say we'll take two scenarios, right? So in this case, if you see there is a number, right? So how many numbers, right? Across, let's write like this, across 18 states in India, something like this, right? So Amazon organization has more than 51,000 employees across 18 states in India, right? So when you talk about this, how many numbers or formulation of numbers you have? You have how many, right? It's a full number, right? So if you understood this right, so you got 51,000 is one representation of number, 18 is another representation. So you've got digits, right? So I need to retrieve only the digits out of this. Can be a good one, right? Possibly, let's take some example. Let's see if we can find one example right from here in the application. So let's go and create a new lead, which will be using, this application will be using in the upcoming days. So let's go and fill in. So I created data. So I got a number right here, and here is the company name followed by a bracket, and this is a number. So I want to retrieve only this number, right? Or for example, I wanted to change a new one. If you remember the old one, the number was 11239. So I'm going to make a copy of that particular lead, and I got a new number, 1124. So I wanted to fetch this number, right? I don't want to fetch anything else. I want to fetch this 5-digit number. So if you wanted to fetch it, or if you want to verify it, you use regular expression, right? That's what it is used. Okay, across languages, it is not specific to Java alone, right? So let's move on. Let's try to understand now. So same thing. For example, I wanted to get only number out of this. I just want the digits, right? I don't want anything else, right? I just need only the numbers here. So if I have to do this, only the digits. So your expectation is if I have to retrieve from the string all the numbers, I should print like this, right? 1 8. Because don't try to sum this or don't try to look at it, meaning I wanted to delete all the values which is not numbers. So only have those which is only numbers. How do we do that? Retain those are only numbers. Delete rest of them, right? So something like this. How do I do it? Number 2, I want to find out how many words are possible. So you all know that how do we do that, right? If I have to find the number of words, so I have to find out there is a space. The space is the one which is delimiting between the words, right? But interestingly, if you see here, unfortunately, somebody has typed 2 spaces. Or sometimes you can also have something like this, tab, right? Multiple spaces, right? So when I have multiple white spaces, still I should consider this as a space. I should consider this as a word, right? I should not consider this as a word, or neither this as a word. So all the white spaces need to be separated. So if I'm looking for such kind of solution, which can help me to find out, count all right string other than the white spaces, all type of white space, right? All type, right? All types including multiple ways to represent. How do we do that? So these are all something very, very easy. Instead of going to simple way, take one character, every character I have to look through and find out if that character is a white space, remove it. It's very difficult. Even this is not going to be a white space. This is a tab. So in the world of Java, we are going to see something like, right, /t, right? This is a tab. This is a small white space. If you have multiple white spaces, you can have like return characters, right? So you can have multiple ways to represent your white spaces. So whenever we have so many information or white spaces, I wanted to remove them and count how many. So to do that, how do we do that, right? That's exactly what we want to do. So if the answer expected for this one is Amazon, 1 word, second word, third, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 is my expected answer. How do I get it? So this is what we are planning to do in the world of regex, right? So we have so much to do as a developer, as an automation developer or tester. We don't have to go beyond this. This should be fairly good to start. Okay, before we go, how do we do this? We have to understand some basic of regular expression. So let's jump quickly into regular expression. A few slides for you to understand. And people who is listening to me can also take notes and tell me in the chat window when I ask questions, right? We will talk about it, Kiran. So I'm not trying to solve the problem. I'm trying to tell you where to use regular expression. So don't jump. Don't jump. So please wait. So when we solve it, I'll ask you, right? Okay, so we are going to talk about 3 things in regular expression. One is a pattern. The second one is something called predefined character class, which is a representation of the whatever the pattern we are seeing. A simplified, a single character representation for this regular pattern. These regular expression patterns are only for a single character at the moment. For example, if I have a text, let's say I have a text like B1, A2, and you call text or generally a string. But when you see about regular expression talks only for one character at a time. B or YA or A2, something like this. So you take only one character at a time when you use the regular expression pattern. When we use again the predefined character class, we still only talk about single character. We don't talk about together, multiple characters. But unfortunately, string is multiple characters. It doesn't come with a single character like this. Very rarely you will see something like this, right? So how do we do this? So for that, we have to also learn something called quantifiers. When the pattern is repeating by itself, when the pattern is same across, then we will be using something called greedy options, which is called quantifiers. So we'll talk about. So three things. For a single character, how do we represent? When we have a predefined character class which is nothing but simplified format. The third one is basically quantifiers. When we continue with the same model for multiple characters, how do we do this? So we'll start with this, right? I'll quickly run through. So square brackets are required when we use a pattern. When we go to simplified format, we don't use square brackets. So we'll start with the option of using the square brackets. So whenever I have a string, the string contains only alphabets, then or only I want to check if it contains alphabets. So I wanted to use square bracket A, B, C, all small. If you watch it, all small. So this is what I'm looking at. What that meant to be is the given string can have A or B or D. Let's put K. Let's put 1. Let's put dollar. Let's put capital G. Right. So we'll talk about this. Now when I say A, B, C, A or B or C is allowed. So which means good, true, right? When I try to go to B, yes, it is allowed, true. D, it's not allowed because it is not inside the A, B, C, so false. So K should be, I'm sure you learned it right now, K is false. 1 is false, dollar is false, and Z is false, correct? I'm sure you understood. So only allowed is A, B, C. For example, when I put A, B, C, K, what is allowed right now? So A is allowed, B is allowed, C is allowed, but C is not here. So K is allowed. This will become true. Correct? If I wanted to have all the alphabets, then I can have like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. I'm tiring. So I cannot write everything together. So why don't I write as a range A to Z? So all the alphabets are allowed, which is lowercase. So A is allowed, B is allowed, D is also allowed, but number is not allowed. Dollar symbol is not allowed, and G, which is capital K, not allowed. But I wanted to have also capital K, then I have to have. Now if I change this to capital A to Z, then small will become false, right? Because it is not allowed. But I want both lower and upper. You write like this. So it becomes both lowercase and uppercase are allowed. So we are successful. So all alphabets are allowed. For example, I also wanted to allow the number, all numbers. Then I can write 0 to 9. So this is allowed. So A is allowed, B is allowed, D is allowed, K is allowed because all alphabets. 1 is also allowed right now. But dollar is not allowed. Right? That's where we are talking about. Right. Let's take another example for us to see. So let me stop this. Let me remove this at the moment. Let's go to the next one. Right. So A, B, I will remove all this. And let's see what happens right now. So I'm going to look at something, the second one with a caret symbol. We say negation or a caret symbol. So when you have a caret symbol at the beginning, so let me find my caret symbol in my laptop. So the Spanish keyboard, I need to find out where it is. I got it. So I got it something like this, A to Z. When I say A to Z and a negation, which means A to Z not allowed. A to Z not allowed. So when I say A to Z not allowed, false. Then B should be also false. D should be false. C should be false. True, right? Because one is not A, B, C or not A to Z. Dollar is not. How about capital Z? It is also not because it is not A to Z capital, right? So when I put A to Z capital, union. Union, what is the meaning of union? So the meaning of union here is, it is a combination of, right, in math you would have said, right, you had one circle, the other circle will be falling on top of it. It is both the A to D and M to P, right? So this is what say A to D and M to P, right? Similarly, if you see something called intersection, intersections are something only what is in between the circle. If I have two circles, right? Let's see an example on an image. So I can give you a better example. Could be circle, circle intersection. Let me show you a circle intersection, which you would have seen it, right? So I have something like this, I have something like this, A and B. The blue color ones is the intersection between A and B. So whenever I use an AND condition, we're talking about the intersection, which is A to Z and D to F. When I write something like this, it should be something between A and C. Let's see an example, right? So we talk about A to Z and D, F. So here in this case, all the way we talk about A, B, C, D, E, F, something like this, G, H, and goes on, right? And out of this, we are only talking about D, F, which means delete all this. So these are all the characters, which is combination of both. So we are good. The next one is something called subtraction. Subtraction is A to Z and intersection, which is not B and C. So you subtract B and C. So which means if I write it something same, so when I say subtraction, let's keep D, F alone, right? Same example for you to not to get confused. So initially when I talk about A to Z, when I say A to Z, so A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and dot dot. So I don't need B and C, which means B and C will be deleted. So you can have any character which is A all the way to. But anything other than lowercase alphabets not allowed. Okay, the last one is also subtraction with a range. So A to Z and the AND condition of range of M to, right? So I think you will get it. So these are all the regular expression patterns which you can use it. Again, these are all, as I told you to begin with, we are all talking about a single character representation. We are not talking about multiple character representation. But let's also quickly talk about the predefined character class, which is interesting for us to see. For example, Babu, I will not know the character. I'm okay with any character. It can be an alphabet, it can be a capital alphabet, it can be a number, it can be a special character. I'll put all my special characters, right? So I can have something like this, all the special characters, dot, 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 and all this I wanted to put it across. So if I have to have all the special characters, is that a simplified format? Yes. Instead of writing something like this, if you do dot, dot meaning it can be any character. Dot represent, it says simply any character, absolutely any character. Or instead of writing 0 to 9, we can also simplify and say, yeah, it is a digit. I can make it as what? /D. But remember, slash is actually a representation of the following is not a character. It is the following one is basically a digit. That's what it meant to be. But in the world of Java, you cannot write with a single slash. The reason is single slash in Java is considered to be a escape character. So we have to write //D. Though for regular expression it is only single slash, for the world of Java it is /D. So we'll see it what it is, right? When I am okay other than digits, so I don't need digits, then I can write something like this, caret symbol, right? 0 to 9. This is what we learned before, right? So instead of this, I can also write simplified /D. And again in Java world, single slash not allowed because it's a escape character, capital D. Right. Similarly, I wanted to see white space. White space. White space when I mean all type of white space, right? So I can say like single space, tabs, something like this, and also return characters, enters, right? This is also again space. So instead of putting through the enter, tabs, white spaces, we can make it a simplified form. All white spaces can be represented with slash single yes, white space. And you'll see in Java this. Whenever in regular expression you see a capital characters, it is a negation. Just remember, it is a negation. I don't know white spaces allowed, right? I don't need white spaces. So if I don't need white spaces, then I have to say capital yes. And representation is going to be capital S, right? And similarly, word. Word is nothing but A to Z small, capital A to Z, 0 to 9, and also it allows you with the underscore symbol. Because those days, like little back when regular expression came, the email address can have a word with an underscore because it concatenates two words. So dots are not allowed or arrow symbols not allowed. But two words can be concatenated with, or two characters can be concatenated with underscore. That's how it was built, those. But instead of writing so many things, right, lower, upper, digits, underscore, you can simplify by writing slash double word. If you write this slash word, lower case. When you don't need word, I don't need word. Anything other than word is fine for me, right? Any special characters, any spaces are good to me, then you can use the capital double. No word space. Sorry, no word. Right, so we got to understand this. This is simplified format of, instead of writing a longer way of writing regular expressions, a shorter form of writing regular expressions using this simplified format called predefined character class. Perfect. Now we understood for replacing only one character, we never look for multiple characters. What if I have a string which has multiple characters, right? In real time, that's how it is. So we're going to talk about the third one, which is quantifiers. Quantifiers is you see the same pattern repeating next, next, next. How do I do it? So we have to learn only the greedy part of it. So we'll take a very simple greedy. So we don't have too many, so it will be quick. When you talk about question mark, the question mark is representation of 0 or 1. If that character is appearing only one time, or it is may not repeat, it may not be even available. So then question mark. When I use star, it means that 0 or more. So you say 0 all the way to any number, any big number. Say something very, very big, right? Any number 0 to anything. It can be repeating any number of times. Right? When I say plus, the difference is going to be interesting. It is 1 to any number of times. If it is minimum 0, then use star. When you say minimum 1 time, then you should say any number of times, then use plus. Babu, I cannot allow any number of times. My name or password length should be exactly so many characters, right? Or your phone number should be exactly 10 characters. So if you have a definite size of that regular expression, then use curly braces n. N is nothing but the number you want to do. For example, for phone numbers, I can say curly braces 10 times the digit, right? Something like this, right? So it is nothing but that exactly equal to n. The count of that particular repetition of that character should be exactly n times. When I say n comma, you don't put anything next to it. It means that minimum n times. Minimum n. It is not 0 or 1. It is n. So it can be also 1 comma, or it can be also 2 comma. It can be also 0 comma. It can be also 10 comma. The minimum will be so many size. The maximum can be anything. So n, minimum will be n. The maximum can be any number of times. Right, the last one is nothing but simplest one, n comma m, where you also have a range called minimum n and maximum n. Brilliant. We're done. So we understood. Again, let me repeat. We look for one character. We look for simplified character. We went on to look for something called quantifiers, repeating by itself for several times. So now with that understanding, let's go back and solve problems. Let's start with a simple problem. Then we'll come back to this too, right? Or we can start from here too. Why not, right? So let's go. So let's start about this, right? So my intention here is I wanted to get only the numbers of this. I don't need anything other than numbers. So I don't need alphabets. I don't need white spaces. I can't allow capital, lowercase, nothing. Or tabs, commas, nothing. I need only numbers. So what should be my representation? Can anyone answer? Even if two of you answers, then I'll proceed further. So what should be the simplified representation of deleting all of them other than numbers? Right? What should be the shortest form to remove other than numbers? So what is the shortest regex pattern I should use to not include numbers? Anybody? So now remember, I'm not going to teach you string, but there is a string method which is available to delete something. What is the method? So we have company info dot. We are going to call the method replace all. So replace all has two parameters. The first argument is being a regular expression. So what to replace? So what to replace? That is capital D, right? Because in Java, I want to replace anything which is not a number I wanted to replace. Okay, replace with what? Replace with an empty value, which means it will be deleted. So I can go save it. That's a shortcut to save the value. Let's see what is the method replace all return. Replace all method return a string. So I wanted to store it here. Can do like the string text equal to, right? There's a short form to do this. Control 2, you press Control 2, then you get menus like this. Then you can choose L. As soon as you click L, you got a new one string. So let me repeat. So Control 2, then you get the menu. So you have to release the Control 2. You have to press Control 2 together, release it, and then followed by L. So it'll get you the method. Replace all is going to be another string which is stored. So if I want to print it, replace all. So I got it. Let me go and run this code. Control F11. Oh, brilliant. We got only the numbers. Is that the expectation? Yes, we got it. So which removed everything other than it. See how regular expression is very simple to make our string manipulations working for us. Maybe this will be what we will be using in the automation very, very quickly. Now let's go to the second problem statement. I'm sure most of you will get very close to this. Now my question is, I wanted to find out how many words are available. Object is going to be company info, right? Company info dot split it with a regular expression. Regular expression I'm going to use is, okay, so when you copy it automatically Eclipse, the newer version of Eclipse will make the single white space is multiple. So when I have, for example, if I copy a single one like this and paste it, it will make automatically into double. So be careful when you do copy paste. If you use the older version of Oxygen or the Mars Neon, you don't have an opportunity to do it. The newer version of Eclipse have automatically convert the single slashes to multiple or double slashes. So we split. So I told you if I wanted to see store the return value of the split, I told you something like this. Control 2 followed by L. So we are supposed to get it. So let's wait. Maybe my machine is slow. Let me redo. Control 2 followed by L. So we got it. So we got string array split on company info dot split. So you got an array here. So from an array, if you wanted to find out what is the size of the array, so we have a method called length. Actually, length is a property, it's not a method, but yeah, you should all methods should have some brackets with arguments. So length is actually a property. It's like constant values, or it's not actually constant. Just to get an idea, it is information constant kind of variable. So let's go and run this. So I'm going to comment this so that it doesn't confuse you. So I'm going to find out what is the length. So Control F11 or 12. So that should be 12. I think we counted it. Let's could be, we got it. So that is exactly what it is. If you wanted to print each of the white spaces, then we can do for each and every word. So you would have already know for each. So I'm going to not spend time here. So word, Control F. So we got all this. So maybe there is multiple white spaces. So when you have multiple white spaces, you see that it didn't come through. So remember, if you wanted to have multiple white spaces, what you have to do? We have to put a plus, because there is a multiple white space here, not here, maybe here, right? So that is the reason it takes multiple. The white space is also counted, right? So that's where you have to solve this, right? So you remember, we all solved for one type. You want to repeat it plus symbol, because the same pattern is repeated one time, two times. More than once, if you want to use it, then you have to look at appropriate option. Maybe we'll talk about this quantifier shortly more. Okay, so we got a very basic idea to use regular expression, but let's deep dive in the next few minutes to come to a closure. Let's take the email. Now, in this older example, I'm trying to help you to use regular expression in string. Now, in this example, I'm going to say I want to validate the email address. I wanted to check the email address is correct or not, right? So how do I do it, right? Here is where you are supposed to use the pattern matching, right? So please remember, this is the email, right? Can you all help me for this particular email address, my email address, right? What can be a pattern? What can be? So let me try first time for you. I'm going to create a pattern. This again a string. Next time you can do it, right? So I'm planning to do only the lower case to begin with. So I'm going to have A to Z, so right, for one character, but this pattern is going to repeat multiple times. It may be just 4 for Babu. For your case, it may be multiple. So, but minimum number of characters I should have should be A, at least one character. So which quantifier helps me at least one, and it can be anything more than one. And M has a range, right? M can be, yes, this is okay still. M, I don't know the size. Somebody write an email address with 256 characters. Somebody write with a minimum of 3, right? Some organizations say your name cannot be less than 10 characters, or your email address should not be very small, right? So hence, the best idea to have is plus, because it should be 1 or more, right? So remember, that is the easiest representation for this problem. But you may be right again, but your answer may be a little longer solution. So when you say 1 or any number of times, plus is the best way. Okay, but this is only for Babu, but at should be always present. So again, I have to put at here. Dot is allowed, but we'll talk about dot. We are only talking about this information, right? This email address. Followed by at, pretty good. Followed by again lowercase, A to Z. Again, the domain name can be any character. It can be 2 characters, 3 characters, or even 150 characters. So I say plus, followed by a dot, A to Z. But I wanted to have only like com or something with 2 characters or 3 characters. So I wanted to have the domain cannot be more than 3 or less than 2. So if I wanted to write something less than 2, not allowed, more than 3, not allowed. It should be between 2 and 3. What should be the 1, right? Yes, N, M is right, because you know the range. So I'm going to keep it can be 2 curly braces, 2, 3. Make sure there is no white spaces between this. If we have white spaces, the regular expression will fail. Okay, now we got the pattern. Now what we have to do is, this is the pattern, this is the test data. This is one of the email address. 2, 3 is correct, right? 2 is the minimum, n, 3 is the maximum allowed. That's what I told you as an example. Right, now let's see, how do we make sure we have to validate these two, right? Whether this particular test data email is falling under this pattern. To do this, we have a method in a pattern class. Pattern class has a static method called compile. So you have to compile that particular pattern first. So that regular expression pattern. This is nothing but the object name is pattern. You can have any name. You can also say pat. So you wanted to compile the pattern first. So control to L again. So you got that particular pattern here, compiled pattern. Now I wanted to use the compiled pattern to validate, match with me, matcher, the expected input, the email. I'm trying to check if the given pattern is matching with the given test data. Again, control to L. It gives me an output called matcher. So I wanted to check if the matcher matches or not. So I'm going to do sysout and say matcher is matching, because matcher is going to be giving a Boolean value that is matching or not. Let me go and run. Okay, so we didn't get matcher dot. We are going to say matches, whether matches. This is again an object of the matcher class. Dot matches is the method. So tell me the Boolean value. If we say true, then validation success. If we say false, the validation failed. So let me go and run this now. So true, validated, success. Now I wanted to add Babu, M, A, N, I, C, K, M. Right? No dots, but the number of characters before that symbol has increased. Would it work? Yes, it should work, because the plus symbol is for one or many. So let's confirm. Worked. Perfect. Testleaf.com. So I can have com or co. Should work? Yes. 2 or 3 characters should work. Now let's try something different. I want to have capital B. Would work? Yes. No. Quick answers. Brilliant. So we got no. The reason is it will not. False. Because pattern doesn't match. Now to make sure the pattern can have anything capital and small, so I'm going to add capital A to Z. Yes, no, true, false, quick. Right, so we got it, yes. So we go run it true, we got it. Now I'm going to put, let's say, Babu Manikam 91. You should give me an answer. I don't want it to. Okay, because no numbers here, so false. So if I have to add numbers here, 0 to 9, right? And do false, true. Pretty good. So we got it. So we are pretty good right so far. For example, if I want to add a dot, then again I have to add a dot, right? You can add a dot here, or you can add a dot here. But don't try to add a dot between a range. Try to add a dot, then range will be broken. It will be considered as a single character. You can add, it's always preferred we say dot at the end would be easier to read. Will it work right now? Babu.Monica, would it work? Yes. So now it should work. I will confirm. Right. Pretty good. So now, for example, I wanted to have co.uk. Will it work? So if I have to make it to work for any character, right? I have to make it, for example, dot also, right? Then I'll put, I say minimum 2, maximum can be anything. How do I represent? Minimum 2, maximum can be anything. Maximum can be anything, right? So n comma, that's exactly, the representation is minimum 2, maximum can be anything. Now it should say work. Really. So this is what we talk about. How do we do the matches, right? Right. So we got it. This is where we will use pattern matching in real-time projects. I have as something like this, right? We talked about this, right? We have employees, across 18 states in India. Now, I wanted to have only numbers. I wanted to print only numbers. How do I do it? What is the shortest form to print only numbers? / lowercase d, correct? Because this is the shortest form to write digit. / d. So I got the pattern. So remember, how do we write the pattern matching? Pattern dot compile, static method. So class name dot method name and the expression, the pattern itself, right? This is the pattern. So I'm going to use the pattern control 2L short form. Now the next one is using the compile dot. I'm going to see the matcher. The matcher is going to be the company info. So control 2L again, I got the matcher. So in the matcher, by reading manually, how many numbers are available? How many numbers or not? I'm not asking how many digits are available. How many numbers are available? How many numbers are formed, right? I'm not asking how many digits are available, like 5, 1, 0. I'm asking how many numbers are formed, right? Or group of numbers formed, right? 2. Now 51,000 is a number, 18 is another number. Now I want to retrieve only the numbers, right? I wanted to only retrieve the number. Maybe I wanted to add the number or multiply the number or divide the number to see what is the average employee in a state, something like this, right? So how do I get only the numbers? You saw replace all can give me all the numbers together, but I need the two numbers separately. So to do that, there are a lot of ways to do it. You can for each and you check whether it is a string having a number or not. If it has a number, then you can do something. The shortest form is basically we have to while loop it. You know the while loop meaning, right? So we wanted to go to the while loop until I find matcher dot find, right? Find what? Find the pattern. Until it find a pattern, you wanted to print the matcher dot the group. The group is nothing but the group of the match. So let me write again. I wanted to find a particular group, but when I use find one time, it will find once and stop. I wanted to continue to find. As many numbers it is available on the given string. So we'll go and find all of them one by one until it fails to find. Then wherever I find, I'll go and print the group. I'll not print the every character. I'll print as a group. So let me go and do Control F11. Now we got as a formation of individual. But if you see, you remember this is for a single digit. We want multiple digits, one or more. How do I write it? You remember? Remember in quantifier you wanted to have one or more character, one or more digit. What is the shortest form? Equal to. So remember, question mark is 0 or 1 character. Just 0 or 1. Or 1 or more. The digit can be 1 or it can be 2. It can be 3, 4, 5, 6. It can be even 20,000. So if I wanted to see a pattern, a digit, formation of digit, right? But that regular expression will break as soon as it finds any other than digit. As it finds a white space, it will break, right? So let's see how do we do this. You got it? So it is a digit, any digit which continues. If it is not digit, it will break. So 51,000 break, correct? So you got the idea of this too, right? So that comes to a conclusion of what you learned about regular expression, and this should be more than enough to understand in real time.